Recently, I saw a decorative candle stand from Bath & Body Works to display their beautiful candles. It was like a cloche style stand, but you know what? It was $34 and I thought I could easily dupe my own by repurposing one of their candles. So I have this fall leaves candle here, and this is perfect for this because it actually has like a plastic label around it. So I just cut it and then I removed the plastic label and it's a perfect glass container. Now I just need to get the wax out of the bottom. So to do this, I'm going to be using the freezer method. So all I have to do here is I have to take the glass candle jar and I just stick it in my freezer for several hours. I think it was in there for about 2.5 hours. So I just place it in the freezer and leave it. And then after 2.5 hours, I come back and all you have to do to get the wax out is simply just dump over the candle. So when it freezes, the wax removes from the side of the jar and then it just dumps out in a giant puck of wax. So now my candle jar is really cold, so we're going to let that get to room temperature. But this wax here, I have quite a bit left, so I could always reuse that for making another candle. But I'm going to go ahead after my candle jar has got to room temperature and I'm just going to give it a quick clean in some hot soapy water. You do want to make sure the glass gets back to room temperature before you wash it in hot soapy water or it will crack. So here is my candle jar all cleaned out and we are ready to use this to make our candle stand. So I have a plain terracotta base here and I'm just going to take some Dixie Belle paint in the shade Oyster and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint the entire terracotta plate. Next, I have this cup saucer plate that I just had laying around. I'm going to take some glass and metal glue and I'm going to put some on the bottom and then I'm going to place it on the bottom of our glass candle jar and I'm going to let this set for several hours. I'm going to put something heavy on top just so it stays in place. And then once it is fully set and dried, we can go ahead and we can decorate the inside of our cloche. So you can put whatever you want in here. In this look here, I've just put a nice framed picture of a loved one with some flowers. This is great for everyday candle decor, but the neat thing about this DIY that I really like is that I kept the bottom part not attached. So I can just lift off the glass cloche part from the terracotta plate and I can switch out the decor that is inside. So I can do it for different seasons. Here is a nice spring look here with some raffia and some decorative eggs for spring. And then as well, I can do this for other seasons. So fall or winter, whatever I like. Here is a nice one with just a couple of flowers and a sprig of greenery, which would be perfect for the summer months. And then, like I said, fall, I can put in a little pumpkin and maybe some leaves. And also as well, I can switch out the candle on top to go with the different seasons. So this is just a neat idea from a inspirational piece that I saw at Bath & Body Works. It was around $34 and this one I recreated for next to nothing. I reused one of their candle jars and I just used a plate that I had laying around and a terracotta base from the dollar store. So super easy to recreate this product.
I'm going to start this project with 2 bowls. I got both of my bowls from the Dollar Tree. So essentially what we're trying to do is we're going to glue them base to base. So I'm going to do this with 2 things. I'm going to be using E6000 and I'm going to be using my hot glue gun for this. And I'm using Gorilla Glue sticks because they just tend to hold things pretty well. So I'm going to start with my E6000. I'm just going to go around. Okay, so we got that, and then I'm gonna just add my hot glue because the hot glue will act a little faster than the E6000. All right, so now I'm just gonna put this on top. All right, so now that our bowls have cured and they're sticking together just fine, we are going to move on to our next step, which will be with paint. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be using chalk paint. I'm using a Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. I'm also using a little bit of honeycomb folk art craft paint and baking soda. So I actually got my brush from the Dollar Tree. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to put the paint in here. I'm gonna be doing, I wanna add a little touch of warmth to it. That's where this honeycomb paint is coming from. Putting a little bit in there. And gonna first mix that up. All right, so now it's a little warmer. We're gonna be putting some baking soda in here. In my experience, I don't really have an exact ratio of baking soda. I just put in a little bit that way if I need to add more, I can. We just wanna add a little bit of texture to the paint. So now that we have our paint mixed, we're gonna apply it to the bowl. Now I wanna paint it in a horizontal fashion because we kind of want this to look like pottery, like it's made from clay. So we're just gonna go around. Make sure your surface is prepped too, so it's you're okay with getting paint on it. Essentially the goal here is to add enough paint so that we cover every piece of the surface of the bowls. So I'll be doing the inside of each bowl as well. And when we are finished with that step and we let it dry, we will move on to our next step. All right, so we're gonna be using a stone colored Rust-Oleum textured finish paint. You can see this kind of finish on the cap is essentially the color we're going with. I'm gonna be adding this lightly to my bowl, my bowls. I also have one in pebbles, so I'm gonna be doing a little bit of both. All right, so now that this is dry and it has my stone spray paint on it as well to add that texture, what we're gonna be doing is we are going to be grabbing about 4 of these candles from Dollar Tree. And what we're gonna do next is we are going to melt them down. So let's go ahead and move on to that step. So after I melted my candles and I took the wicks out and I placed them where I wanted, I'm using skewers to secure it in place, I'm going to be adding my melted wax into this. And I'm actually gonna be using a scented lavender because I really want to give this a nice scent to it. Be very careful with hot wax, be very careful. So I have my old candle pillar holder and I'm going to be putting a lot of scent in here. I am going to pour it slowly. We're going to do the same thing with the other 2 that I have. I have a backup one just in case, but I don't think I'm gonna need more than 3 total. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna add my lavender. We're gonna pour it in. I'm gonna try and pull these tight a little bit. I don't want them to be too close, but I want them to be sticking to the bottom. So having a skewer, a backup skewer is really helpful for this. Okay, so last one, I think. Maybe I'll need to do a little bit more. Pouring it in. I think I'm gonna pour a little bit more of this last one in there. There we go. So now what we're gonna do is we are gonna wait for this to dry so we can move on to the next step. So we'll be back. All right, now that we've let my wax dry, we are gonna take our wick and we're gonna cut it a little bit shorter. And can I just say how good these smell with the scents that I added? So now that my candle is finished, we are gonna go see it all lit up for our final after. And here is the finished product out on my screened-in porch. I love how this turned out. I love the smell of the lavender, and it really does add a sense of ambience to my outdoor living space. I hope you feel inspired to try this project. Thank you so much for watching Home Talk, and I will see you next time.